Hey guys, Coach Mike here with Speak Audibly's 100% Me podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we'll be interviewing Miss Joan Carroll of the Carroll Group. She has such an amazing heart and I'm so excited to jump into this podcast. But before I jump into this episode, I want to let you know that Speak Audibly's business coaching strategy and accountability is here for you if you are a brand new entrepreneur or someone who's pretty tenured in their business. We're here to help you get the correct systems in place to get your business moving forward that you can sustain and scale with no problems. All right, we're here for you. Go ahead and look into the show notes below and contact us. We're here to help you. Now, let's jump in with Miss Joan Carroll. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. As I said in the introduction, I am with Miss Joan Carroll today. Joan, how are you?
I'm great, thank you, Mike. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Guys, I met Joan through some of the networking groups here in the DFW area, and I've just really fallen in love with her character and who she is. And before I get into any depth as to what she does, I want her to explain, Joan, just who you are, your family, your business.
Well, thanks. Uh, let's just start by saying that I'm a realtor now, but that's about my 12th occupation. I've done everything from two different kinds of healthcare. I'm a dental hygienist and I'm a massage therapist, and I've worked as a Christian ed director in a big metropolitan church, and I've been a missionary in two different countries in Africa, and I've lived in Monte Carlo, and I've had a really broad background, and I've done just mundane things like be a banquet manager and a waitress, and worked on the phones doing either election things or .com and long distance and a lot of different services. So my background is a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but I really found my niche in real estate, and I began that several years ago, and I love the puzzle part of it because everybody's situation is different. And so whenever I work with a client, I'm trying to piece together a whole that's going to make everybody satisfied. And that's a challenge, but it's fun. And so I ask good questions, and when you do that and you really get to know your clients, then you're able to help them to really find a good solution for them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, you guys see why she is on the Motivated Ones series, right, of the podcast. So tell us about your family, Joan. You got any husband and kids?
I have 2 kids and 3 grandkids. My daughter is married to a Chadian, actually. So he grew up mostly in the U.S., but partly in Africa. And having been, we've had our kids with Africans ever since they were like little tiny kids. And so it was not unusual for her to marry somebody from another country. And so I have 2 lovely African-American grandchildren, and they're 14 and 7. And my son did several years in the military. He was in the Air Force, and they're living in Abilene. They have my next grandson. He's 9 months and just a little cutie, and is named after, his name is Jack Harlan. My dad's name was Harlan. And that's a real tribute to my dad. We've always said that my son is a lot like my dad, and so they passed the name down to him, and we appreciate that. So, and they live in Abilene, and my daughter and her family live 2 miles from me, so I can be with those.
There you go. That is awesome. Well, tell your son thank you so much for his service. That is, we just can't say thank you enough for the freedoms that we have today, and for them to constantly be going out there and really defending those freedoms that we have. So thank him so much for us. So when it comes to your niche in real estate, you mentioned that you found your niche. What is that niche in the real estate field?
Well, I have been working primarily with buyers and sellers in a real traditional way. And, providing a service where you're benefiting the buyer or the seller. In any real estate transaction, there's 2 sides. And both sides are supposed to have an advocate. And so if you're working for the seller, you're working to get them the most for their money. If you're working for the buyer, you're working to get them the best deal possible. And so we always wear 2 hats depending on which ones we're working with. But the longer I'm in this, I'm shifting my attentions now more to some investments, simply because I've finally come to realize that investing in real estate is probably the most practical way to increase your bottom line and your cash flow. And I'm getting close to retirement. I retired once already from healthcare, so this is my last best career. And so I need to make sure that I've got cash flow moving into retirement. And so I started looking into that. And we have a couple of rentals, and we're partners in a big multifamily unit. But what I'm concerned about right now is that because of COVID-19 and all of the financial issues that have come alongside with that, we're going to be seeing a lot of kids in trouble, people in trouble with their mortgages. And so what I've been noticing as I've been going into real estate is that the foreclosures hurt people so badly. And if you are in a situation where you can't keep up with your mortgage and you just stop paying it or something like that, you will, in just a very few months, move into foreclosure. And foreclosure, if it happens, is one of the most devastating financial situations you can find yourself in, because you've proven yourself irresponsible with one of the biggest investments you're ever going to make, your house. Yeah. And so it destroys your credit. If you had good credit going into this and you do foreclose on your mortgage, you can drop your credit by as much as 160 points. And wow. It makes it impossible to get a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan for another 7 years. And it also makes all other kinds of investing or borrowing difficult. If you had to buy a new car, buy a different car, yeah. Or just opening a credit card to get clothes for your kids, it's very difficult. And so, as we have been looking at the mortgage situation right now, we've got a lot of people that are taking advantage of the forbearance program. Now, the forbearance program is something that the government has created for this crisis, and it allows people to skip their mortgages for 3 months, or then you can extend it, you can extend it, you can extend it for up to a year. But then at some point that money is going to have to be paid back. Right. Now they're making it easy for people. They aren't mandating that you have to give a lump sum, and you can negotiate with your mortgage company to either tack it on to the end of the loan, or there's several different ways that you can handle that. But let's say that you have 2 kids and they're elementary school age, and you were a 2-income family and the kids were off at public school, and everything was flowing, and now you're down to 1 income and somebody's got to stay home and homeschool the kids, and you just are not going to be able to make up where I'm afraid we're going to have a lot of people in that situation. And so there is a list that comes out every month, and real estate agents all over the nation get these lists, and they're called the pre-foreclosure list.
Yes.
And if you've missed 3 of your payments and you haven't made arrangements with your mortgage company to rearrange things, et cetera, you may wind up on that pre-foreclosure list. At that point, you get call after call after call from every mortgage agent wanting to purchase your house. And yeah. You can't tell the difference between a call from a nice mortgage agent from a creditor that's asking for money, and you stop answering your phone, and you get behind, and you get depressed, and all of those things. And so a lot of people will get afraid and not know where to turn. And it's a pre-foreclosure list. Right. And when we get those lists, I can look at them and say, these people have money. They have equity. They don't have money, but they have equity in their home. If they knew who to ask and what questions to ask,
exactly,
there is a solution to getting them out of their situation and allowing them to move forward.
That's it.
And so this whole forbearance issue is going to expire at the end of this year. And a
Right.
lot of people are going to be caught in a situation they just can't handle. So
Yes.
my ambition
Yes.
is to try to reach them first.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Like I said, guys, she has a big heart. And so today, even though the recording of this is during election day, which is crazy, and we don't know what's going to happen after today. So by the time we're watching this, we'll have known what happened. But I completely understand and completely agree with that. As I've had family walk through that foreclosure process, and literally they would turn to me, and me not having all of the answers or all of the options as to what you can do. I mean, I don't know if that means HELOCs. I don't know. I don't know what you can do in order. So what are just a few things, I guess, that could help a person who's saying, you know what, I am one of those people come December 31st, forbearance may be gone, and I'm looking at a slightly higher monthly payment, or I'm getting ready to be on that pre-foreclosure. I'm on that pre-foreclosure list, and I'm about to get foreclosed on. What are some of the steps they can begin to take?
Well, I was doing a bunch of reading before this, and we're here in the DFW area, and here the cost of homes just keeps going up.
Right.
Went up another 10.7% last year. And so let's say you've owned your house here in DFW for 4 or 5 years, and you bought it for 200,000, and it's increased by 20, 25, 30%. You
Hmm.
have additional equity. Now you can look at how much you owe and say, oh, I don't have enough to get to do that. But if you were to sell that house before you wound up on the pre-foreclosure list, you would be able to pay off your loan in full and then have maybe some to go on. Every case is different.
Yes.
Um, but right here, right now, because of how home prices have been going up, we have some solutions that could really keep you out of harm's way. Now, if you're living in an area where the home prices are going down, that might be a different scenario.
Sure.
Uh, but I think what the most afraid of is that when people get behind the eight ball financially, they don't they don't they're afraid to ask questions. They are afraid to talk to their mortgage company
Yeah.
because they'll know where we're at and all that. So um, I'm trying to
Mm.
provide a place where they can go and ask questions, and it doesn't hurt anybody.
That's it. Yeah,
uh,
'cause there's a lot of embarrassment and a lot of shame that comes along with that. But that guilt of, I got into this mortgage, I signed that dotted line, and now I can't fulfill my side of the deal, my side of the bargain. Yeah, what kind of options would you have, or even just some suggestions would you have for that person?
well, so first of all, if you're in the forbearance program, contact your mortgage agent, your mortgage company, and there are several different plans. Now, that's provided that you got into the forbearance program correctly. And
Sure.
there are maybe people right now who are struggling like crazy to get into the to pay their mortgage. The
Right.
forbearance program is still going on until the end of the year, and you can have it at least for 3 months. So if you needed to, you have to contact your mortgage agent and tell them what you're having difficulties with, and uh, they give you the right repayment or excuse me, they get you involved in the right program, and then you can take a little breather. Now, in order to go back again, you can either, if you were graced with it, pay it off in full, however many months you did, and that's called reinstatement.
Okay.
Or you can arrange for a repayment plan, or there's a payment deferral that's specifically for COVID-19, and then you can do loan modifications. So
Okay.
they will reevaluate, but again, it's sort of based on your credit score, et cetera, because they're going to look at some of those things. And for some people that have missed them, there will be a 3-month um, uh, trial period where you make 3 payments on time, fully. They can, and then they'll work with you even better. Now, if you're not in that situation at all, if you've kept your house up and you could put it on the MLS, and that's the multiple listing service where realtors come in and show your home and so on. There may be profits to be made depending on how long you've kept your home, and you may be able to get out of some other debt if we were able to sell it that way. But let's say that you've been in it for 10 or 12 years and you know it needs painting and the appliances are broken down and you can't afford to fix them, and you're just, you know that it's not quality enough to get what you need, then we need to chat individually. If you sell it in the MLS, you've got to pay a realtor. If you sell it quietly in another way, you don't have those costs. These are all those subjective things that we need to talk through. And the best way, for me to give somebody advice is actually to go to their home, talk face to face, find out, how long have they been in their home? What are their needs, etc. Because there is quite a bit of difference. But if we can get the house sold before the foreclosure date, before the date that the home is sold on the courthouse steps on the first Tuesday of the month, as long as we can get that written out, then we can keep them from losing their equity. Now, equity is, if you pay 3 or 3.5% down or 5% down or 10% down, you bought equity into your home. And the longer you stay there, as the price increases, your equity increases. And when I look at these for pre-foreclosures, I look at it and I go, oh my goodness, they've got $120,000 worth of equity and they don't know that, and they're going to lose it. Wow. So there are investors that want to buy. I will either purchase it or direct you to those people, and we can put cash in your hand.
That's awesome. And see, that's exactly why I have Joan on the show, guys, is that right there. There's so much that we just simply don't know. Right. We may not be well versed in the real estate game, but like you mentioned earlier, yes, real estate, stocks, and owning your own business. Those are kind of the 3 main ways of making your statement or finding some level of success, if you will, in America. And so the fact that you found this niche that is really tied to your heart, because you can just hear your heart in this. You can hear how much you're really wanting to serve, because yes, COVID-19 has just put a wrench in a lot of different things, right? I mean, plans have just been thrown out of the window. And so when it comes to that home that you own, yes, the equity is there. If you've lost your job, or you're trying to figure out, okay, how to make this thing meet, or you're not on that pre-foreclosure list, but you think I may be getting ready to be there, please contact Joan. Joan, what is the best way to get in touch with you and your company?
My number is 817-668-6857. And I'm sure you're going to put that at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yes, it's definitely going to be in the show notes below, guys.
857. And my company is called Carroll Group Investments. So it's Joan at carrollgroup.net. And I'd love to reach out. I was posed a question by a friend of mine who's older than I am, and she was considering moving to DFW. And I asked her, well, what do you think your house is worth? And she said, well, we live on this farm, maybe 320,000, but we owe 68,000. We'll have to pay that off. I said, honey, you can sell it and that will be paid off when you sell that house. You don't have to get it all arranged now. Exactly. And I think that's just one of those many questions that people are bouncing around. They need somebody to ask the right questions.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Guys, yes, you don't know what you don't know. And so at the very least, give Joan a call at the number down in the show notes below, and run some things by her. See what it is that you can do to help your situation, because Joan has a heart for you. She has a heart to serve, and that's why she's on this show. So Joan, just one final question here. And I love the movie Batman, The Dark Knight. the first one. It came out in the early 2000s, and at the end, I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but Batman kind of takes the heat, he takes the blame for a death that happens. And the police commissioner wants him to be the hero. He wants to tell everybody, no, Batman saved us. But Batman says, you know what? The town doesn't need a hero right now. So I'll take the blame for the death, and then I'll go into hiding. And he does just that. He goes off the grid. It's black until the next movie. Let's say you were to go off the grid for whatever reason. You're going into hiding. You know, your channel, your station is going to go black, it's going to go fuzzy. What's one last kind of sign of encouragement to all the people watching this show, where they're getting ready to go into forbearance or foreclosure, pre-foreclosure? What's one just ounce of encouragement you have before you go off the grid?
You know, I've moved 20 times in 42 years. And a lot of people think that change is bad, but it's not. It's just different. And my husband will say, my wife got to decorate 20 different houses. And, you know, some of those times I was so poor, we had to go to the grocery store with a calculator because we had $4.72 to last the week. I've been there. I have had my kids on, you know, aided dependent children, and I've done WIC, and I've done all those things. And I know what it feels like, but I know there's a way out. And the last thing I want people to do is to think they are the only ones and that it's hopeless, because it's not. If you can ask the right questions and then move forward, there's sunshine on the other side, because change makes us grow and it improves our character. And so, yes, COVID has been bad. You're late on your payments. That's not the end of the world. Let's get through this. Let's get you on to the next thing without damaging your credit and your self-esteem. You know, call me before you're 3 months behind. Call me when you think you might be having problems. And let's talk it through before you get to that point, because bad decisions can snowball so badly. So let's make a good decision and start asking the right questions to the right people and get on to change.
Wow, that is awesome, guys. So true. Change is inevitable, guys. And there's so much growth that can happen in that change. So just like Joan said, don't wallow in this time. Don't try to swim through the swamp, right? Get up, get on that raft, get back on that boat. Let's keep pushing forward. And for those of you guys who say, you know what, yes, I need Joan's help with this. I need a professional's help, someone who doesn't just want to make their pockets fat, but truly cares about my situation, about my family. That is Joan. That is Joan's heart. That's why she's on the Motivated Ones. And Joan, thank you so much for that advice. Thank you so much for that encouragement. Thank you for your heart, because you are truly an awesome individual. And I'm so glad you were on the show today with us. Guys, again, go down into the show links below. Her email's down there, her phone number's down there. Give Joan a call, reach out to her before you get into that pickle. All right, get in touch with her. Joan, again, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate you.
Wow, guys, right? Ms. Joan Carroll has such an amazing heart, as you now can see why she is on this series of the Motivated Ones. She's so motivated. She's been motivated for a long time, but more importantly, she's motivated to help you. She has such a huge heart for people. If you know anyone going through the foreclosure process, or simply just has questions when it comes to real estate, be sure to go into those show links and reach out to Joan. She has such a big heart and is willing to help you. All right. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching this podcast with us. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll talk soon.